if you really think about it, it makes total perfect sense that neurodivergent people express love and respect and emotion differently than neurotypical people will. Welcome back to my channel. It's Vlogmas Day 16, and I didn't have the spoons to set everything up and start doing any crafting today, so I'm going to voice over an old video. The big orange chunk, that's Papa Bear. He died about a year ago. And of course, you see Baby Bear, and later on, Mama Bear is going to show up in the video as well. However, what I'm going to talk about today is going to be the neurodivergent love languages. And if you really think about it, it makes total perfect sense that neurodivergent people express love and respect and emotion differently than neurotypical people will. Our brains work different, so of course the way we express emotions look different too. So the 5 that I recognize as neurodivergent love languages, and there are other ones that come into other lists, but this is the list that I like the best, are info dumping, parallel play, penguin pebbling, deep pressure, and support swapping. And they mean different things to different people, so I'm going to explain them what they mean to me, and it would behoove you, if you know a neurodivergent person in your life, to look up these things and to discuss it with the neurodivergent people in your life, because they may interpret these things differently, because there are a lot of different ways to be neurodivergent, and trying to pigeonhole us into one particular category or one particular way of looking at these love languages really isn't going to work. So I'm going to express these from my point of view, talk to the neurodivergent people in your life to find out how they interpret these. Info dumping is just what it sounds like. If I really respect you and I want you to be a part of my life and I want to have some sort of emotional connection with you, I will data dump on you. I will dump information on anything that I know. I studied science, so my data dumping tends to be science. But people can data dump on anything. Maybe they're into D&D, maybe they're into cars, but they will sit there and they will talk to you about the information that they know, and that is a way of expressing, I respect you, I want you to be a part of my life. Another one is parallel play, where you're in the same room and possibly watching the same television show, but you're doing different things, and it's totally fine to not actually talk to each other. The presence of the other person is the most important thing in parallel play. Penguin pebbling is finding little trinkets to give to the other person. So if a neurodivergent person gives you a small gift, that is a form of neurodivergent love language. They are saying, I want you to have this because this made me think of you, and I want you to think of me when I give you this. And it's important to really respect the fact that they have given you this thing. Even if this thing is something as small as a Dollar Tree figurine, it meant something to the person who gave it to you. So if a neurodivergent person gives you a small gift, it's more meaningful than just a small gift. And if you reject it or if you act like it's nothing, that's really going to hurt their feelings. And this is where a lot of neurodivergent people end up getting hurt in relationships, is because the other person doesn't respect the gift that they've been given. And now we switch into some light display videos from a park that my husband and I went to on New Year's Eve a couple of years ago. I don't remember if this was pre-pandemic or if this was the second year of pandemic. The next one that I'm going to talk about is support swapping, and that is where one person needs support, so they are supported by the other individual, but there are going to be times when the other individual needs support and they're going to expect it from the first person, and it's important to swap this support back and forth. It can't be one-sided with a neurodivergent person. Both people have to be supportive and both people have to be supported in the relationship in order for it to work. This is a big one for romantic relationships with neurodivergent people. And then the last one is deep pressure, and this is one that means a lot to me. But another way to say deep pressure is squish my soul back into my body. And what that means is if a neurodivergent person has gotten into overload and they're in a situation where they are no longer capable of processing what's going on and they have become very agitated and very upset, one of the things that can really help them, if you are a trusted person, is to hug them tightly, to squeeze them, and to put as much pressure on them as you can to help squish their soul back into their body. If you remember me talking about selecting the prime rib roast, my husband was squishing my soul back into my body as I was having a massive panic attack up against the meat case in the grocery store when I had to go in last year and get the roast. So that is squish my soul back into my body. Put as much pressure on them as you can. And this is also where weighted blankets come in. I have combined total 60 pounds of weighted blankets, and there are times when I will put all 60 pounds of weighted blankets on me to try and help me stabilize and try and help me get back under control when I have a very bad panic attack or I have been discombobulated or panicky or frightened or agitated. I don't want to say trigger, but any of the things that trigger my neurodivergences, forced to talk on the phone with someone that I don't know, or any of the things that causes me to get into that bad brain place, then that soul squishing becomes extremely important. And if you have a neurodivergent person in your life who shows the markers, and if you are a trusted person, put weight and pressure on the neurodivergent person that is having a very difficult time in that situation, or make sure that the weighted blankets are available so that they can be placed upon that person. I actually heard somewhere that they make hug chairs specifically for autistic people who get into that place where they need that pressure, and the chair will actually hug the person. And I thought that was pretty cool. The list of neurodivergent love languages changes with the source that you use, so I'm only talking about the ones that I feel comfortable talking about. In all honesty, regarding the other lists that have other ones on them, I feel that if you want to learn about those, you should either talk to a neurodivergent person who has them or look them up online. And of course, in my opinion, the better of those two choices is to talk to a neurodivergent person who has them, because I am going to continuously and constantly say the absolute best way for neurodivergent people to be accepted in this world is for neurotypical people to talk to us, to actually have conversations with us, and to realize that though we are quirky and though we have different ways of communicating and though we have different ways of processing information, we still have an awful lot of quality information and quality content to provide to any sort of relationship, be that a work relationship, friend relationship, romantic relationship, casual relationship, whatever kind of interaction that you have with us, we have quality to bring to that table. If you, as the neurotypical people, will stop ostracizing us and start actually talking to us and finding out what it is that we have to offer. Because we are amazing people, but we think differently. We behave differently. That doesn't make us bad, and that doesn't make us cringeworthy. We're just different. Talk to us. Find out what makes us tick. As in anything else, you will find if you talk to people who have neurodivergences that it's quite possible that you have more in common than you have that differs you. So, this is Vlogmas Day 16. I will see you tomorrow.